Hello friends, Brandy here with Falcon Healing Arts. I hope you're doing really well. I have April's energy update that we're going to get into in a moment. First, I want to welcome you back to my channel and actually welcome to my new office. So I'm in my new practice space here in Belmont, California. This is my office where I do a lot of my online appointments and in-person appointments when we're doing more coaching or even shamanic healing. And then I have another room next door that is my treatment room where I'm offering acupuncture again, as well as aromatherapy massage and energy healing. So if you are in the San Francisco Bay Area, consider checking out my services and maybe you will visit me someday. I would love that. So let's get into the energy update for April. So if you are familiar with this channel, you know that we do this at the beginning of each month where we tune in to the collective energy and we pull on the themes that are coming up and also consider how this is affecting us personally. And I do this in order to help us make conscious decisions throughout the month to lean in a certain direction if we're feeling guided to, and really just to pay more attention to what is coming up for you internally. What are your internal motivations and desires that you're trying to bring out into the world, and you'll see how the energy is supporting that. This also helps you with coping with divine timing, which can be frustrating, especially this time of year where it's very action-led. So and if you are not familiar with this channel, that is what we do. And then in between these energy updates, I do a lot of wellness videos. So to help you heal on every level of your being, body, heart, mind, and spirit. So consider subscribing to this channel if you are interested in that. Okay, so for the month of April, as I just tuned in, it feels like there's this inspired energy, inspired particularly by beauty. So the beauty that we see here in spring, the image that came to mind automatically was pink tulips, which I have coming up in my front yard right now. And it made me think, so it's this inspired beauty, like we want to bring beauty into the world. We want to be involved some way by bringing beauty into the world. But also there's this fear around it for a few reasons. Fear of it being rejected, because it's something that you love so much that you're bringing out into the world, that if it's rejected and you are taking that personally, that you'll start to doubt yourself, your motivations, and that may cascade into really stalling you in progress, in your self-growth. And there's also fear around it not being worth it. So when tulips came to mind, I love planting them every year. So here in the Bay Area, they don't come up season after season. We actually have to plant them in order for them to grow and thrive. Different from other types of bulbs like daffodils, where you'll plant them and they'll come up year after year. So tulips usually don't. But they are my favorite flower. So, and I have some, I should have brought them in. They're in the reception area. I brought some tulips into this space because they symbolize growth, and their beauty, it affects the mood. So it is worth it to buy tulips or to grow tulips, even if their effects on you are temporary. And so I try to grow them year after year, and it takes a lot of effort, of course, to dig the hole and to plant each bulb, and usually I like to plant a lot of them. So I remember this year it was actually about to rain, and actually I think it did start raining on me as I was planting the bulbs, and I'm like, nope, I'm already doing this. I got a little wet, and I'm like, I know this is going to be worth it. It's been months that they've been growing. And finally, the stems are up, they're about to blossom, so they're getting really thick and full, and I could see a little bit of the color. The anticipation is building, and I am so looking forward to these tulips actually blooming open. However, they're only going to bloom most likely for a month, if that. So I know some people would say, why do you even bother? If they're only going to last a month, is that really worth it? Like, is it worth the time for you to plant them and then to wait all this time and then for them to blossom and then just be nothing, like taking up space in the dirt after that? And that's a good question. Like, if that really mattered to me, that I felt my time could be spent doing something else, then I may take that seriously. But I love them so much that it counters all that criticism other people may have. So this is a theme that I feel is going to be coming up for a lot of us, that we see the beauty in the world, that we want to bring more beauty into the world. And there's going to be a lot of people, maybe certain circumstances too, that will cause us to pause and consider, is this worth it? Is this realistic? Am I a fool for doing this? Yeah, so it's both being inspired by beauty and to act on that, but also being afraid. And it's not fear that's coming from inside. Really, it's fear that other people are bringing up, and it's more of an insecurity, like you're doing something wrong. So I saw the tulips, and it's also reminding me that we may not want to engage in doing something like this that pleases us for just a short amount of time, because we have issues doing something that's temporary. We want to put all our effort into doing something that is more permanent. And so we need to remember, though, that nothing in life is permanent. Everything is subject to change. Everything really ultimately is temporary. So if you remember that, and we appreciate the present moment, not glorifying the past or the future, but really what we're experiencing in each moment, then the pleasure that we get from seeing beautiful things, having beautiful things around us, is worth it. It's supporting us in these moments, breath by breath. Okay, so that was the tulips. But I also want to bring up around that another story that will emphasize the point of this. I share this office space, this suite, with a wonderful woman. She's been here actually for 25 years. And so she's had a lot of other tenants in here. And the space is pretty dark. Like these rooms, you see the paint. I kept it a light color. I painted over this mint green that wasn't as pleasing, and it actually made these rooms look really dark. And she was telling me that she's tried growing plants here and it's never worked. And so she's like, don't even bother. And I'm like, I didn't want to believe her, because I really wanted to bring plants in here. I really wanted them to beautify this space. So I went to a garden center and talked to them about the amount of light in here. And especially after I painted the walls, there's more light reflected all around. There's enough light coming in. I don't have any other light on me. Like all this light reflected on me is just from the window. And there's plants that I did get that I put right here. And a friend got me some daffodils that are back there. And so when I talked to the woman at the garden center, I told her about this light. And she's like, I don't think the light is the issue. It's probably the amount of humidity in the room. Maybe she didn't water the plants well before. And she's like, I think you should try. And so, I, of course, wanted to try. That's why I asked this garden center person. And then, my confidence was built after I had the support from her. And then I told the woman I'm subleasing from that I'm going to try this. And she's like, okay, well, maybe keep your shades open. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing. And she's like, okay, I support you. And it's been 2 weeks. The plants seem to be just fine. And when my friend gave me these daffodils a few days ago, I was like, oh, I really hope these are going to grow. And the buds were closed when she gave it to me. And a few days ago, I walked into the office and they were all open. You could probably see that behind me. All of them bloomed. So this is sealing the message here. Try. If you want to do something that's going to add beauty into the world, even if you have critics, even well-meaning people around you saying, that's probably a waste of your time, do it anyway. Okay? The energy is supporting you at this time. I also saw a magician pulling a rabbit out of his hat, and I don't know if the rabbit is like symbolizing spring, because I've had other visions of like little chicks and other baby bunnies. This seemed to be more about magic, like bringing your magic into the world, bringing your gifts into the world, and again, doing it for you, doing it for what you're trying to bring into the world, the energy, and not worrying so much about what other people think. Because there are going to be people who are committed to misunderstanding you, and you can't give them your time and energy. Put it onto what you are trying to create, onto your soul work. Okay, so as usual, I picked 3 tarot cards we're going to go through now. These give more details and especially more about your personal journey for this coming month. And then at the end here, we'll pull a goddess card that will have a theme that hopefully brings this all together and makes perfect sense, which it usually does. So it is so funny. There are 78 cards in this deck, and it feels like I always get repeating cards. So it definitely means something. When we have themes carry over month to month, the energy is still there. So we still have the energy of the moon showing up right now. So take a good look at this card, because it's not just the card, but the symbolism in the picture that make this meaningful. So the moon is all about transformation. And there's also a duality around this too, as you see the white and black, the yin and yang, the dark and the light. And the moon has this high perspective over all of it. And so the moon also symbolizes mystery. It is this guiding light that's helping us move through darkness. And so this is reminding me of those critics, that the darkness is not so much a path that you're walking. It's not like a dark night of the soul, which has come up for us in the past. This dark energy feels more about the doom and gloom that other people are bringing up. So not just countering what you're trying to do, but reminding you of all that is wrong in the world. There are certainly things, horrible things, that are happening all the time, most of which we don't hear about. We hear about things that are sensationalized in our countries, over the media, and of course many of them deserve attention. But there are even more horrible things that don't get our attention. And certainly we want to see that. We want to be able to hold in our awareness suffering of other people, because it helps us position ourselves to bring about healing. And so when something horrible happens, I try not to go automatically to thinking, how could we have prevented this? Or what are we supposed to do from here? What's the big lesson? and instead just be with the energy and the emotion of all the things that have come up around these tragedies and how it makes me feel really tender. It makes a lot of other people feel a lot of tenderness, and this automatically makes people feel more love and compassion for others. So that automatically counters these horrible events that happen. Just witnessing, just allowing yourself to feel is going to shift things. So when people are wanting you to focus on all that's wrong in the world, who are urging you to get mad and to do something about it based on anger. Yes, anger is motivating, but taking action from lower vibrational frequencies is not healthy. We want to do it from a space of love and compassion. There are silver linings to everything. And so eventually we come into that space where we have this different perspective around what is happening. So the moon is this glimmer of light. It is this glimmer of hope in dark times. And when you start to shine brighter inside, when you can still be loving regardless of this darkness, then that is going to help the light shine brighter. It's going to be more contagious. You're going to light more wicks, more candles. So that is what the moon is symbolizing to me today with this card. And it is a way that we shift our perspective too. Because again, the moon is higher, it's shining down, it can see more than what is being projected by other people. So getting more into the energy of what is coming up, just not what we're seeing, not just what we're being told, like actually feel it. Can you do that? Okay, the next card here is the Seven of Pentacles. I'm pretty sure I have pulled this card before as well. So another beautiful card. That is the new moon behind her there. A lot of multicolored horses flying through the sky. This looks like a lot of fantasy, it looks like a dream world. And in front of her, there it looks like some type of grain, wheat she's holding. So about harvest, abundance, collecting, goodness. So the seven, we'll cover the numerology and also the suit here. One of my ear seeds just came off. Okay, so the number 7 usually symbolizes spiritual awareness. So this is a very spiritual card, but it's also about introspection, so looking inward, and then also victory or mastery over something. And the suit of pentacles is related to the earth element. And I consider the earth element to be like the first, second chakras as well. So issues around home life, relationships, our work in the world that we were just talking about too, money, but not just financial wealth, like being prosperous, having a lot of opportunities, and fully understanding who you are is what this card symbolizes. Bringing the 7 and the pentacles together, it also symbolizes wholeness and complete understanding. So that victory, that mastery is like finally understanding who you are on a deep spiritual level. 7 also has to do with the 7th house in astrology, which is Libra. which has a lot to do, the characteristics of Libra are about balance. It's the scales, right? Balance in relationships, being diplomatic, really valuing that each person, their perspective is meaningful. So consider that with this card too. And the full moon in Libra is coming up in a week. So I feel like this energy is really going to be coming up during that time where we are focusing on our relationships and trying to balance them. Seeing that different points of view are both meaningful, or all meaningful if we're talking about more than two. Okay. So this card also has to do with reaching new heights, reaching new success. So the abundance you see with her in this field is gathering it all up. Like you are finally there. You're finally reaching that point where you feel successful. So I hope you feel that in the month of April. I hope I feel that for myself in this practice space as I have more people coming in. It feels so good when you put energy into something and you see that it's valued. You see that it's meaningful. And so you're going to start to see that you are getting paid. You're feeling satisfaction from it. And not just getting paid with money, but maybe you're getting paid with respect. Maybe you're getting paid with further opportunities. That someone really important sees what you're doing in the world and they want to bring more awareness to it. That's another way that you can be being paid or getting paid. So even though this card symbolizes completion, 7 is not the end of the journey in the tarot deck. You know, it goes up to 10, like that's another stage of completion. And then we go through the major arcana and we have the prince and princesses. We'll get to the prince soon. The knights, the king and queen. So there's much more beyond that. So the message here also is that even though you're seeing so much success right now, this is not the end. Like this should be a message of hope for continuing along this path in order to experience even more. So it's not the end. Don't stop. Don't stop. So it's serving as a message. You can repeat the process. It's confirmation that you're on the right track. It's working. Keep going. Okay, let's get to the Prince of Wands now. This is our final card. These are all very benevolent cards, the messages. And speaking of message, the Prince is the messenger. So he comes with a message. Also has to do with inspiration, which we talked about before, being inspired by beauty. So the prince is a messenger of life. He's a student of life. So a student, he has very young energy, very curious, very playful. So also symbolizes new beginnings. And he is in the suit of wands, and see that he is holding this magic wand. So it is the fire element, magic. Remember, I also saw the magician pulling the rabbit out of his hat. So I was surprised to see this magic wand as well. So the magic wand, we're manifesting something into being. So it's manifesting energy. Remember, manifesting energy is moving from the spirit down to earth. Fire is related to spirit. And this is more of a fire earth card. It's fire because of the suit of wands, but the prince is actually an earth element. So the message he's bringing up is about adventure and love for life. So that is also beautiful, right? When you're going on adventures and you're seeing new things, meeting new people, it's all very exciting. It shows you that there is so much more to the world when you put yourself in a position that is new, that is different. So he's bringing up this message that it's time to maybe get out of a rut. And to allow yourself to be inspired by the universe, by life itself. To consider, too, that life is short. And so we want to take advantage whenever possible, whenever we have the opportunity to really lean into doing new things, supporting this fire, this spark inside that wants more passion in life. And with that passion, it's also supportive of new relationships, both romantic and platonic, business even. So supporting new relationships as well. They could all be really exciting, even though they're not romantic. This could also be about career, good surprises that are coming up, building confidence as well. So the prince, I also want to mention here as I'm looking at my notes, he's also a rebel. He's also very revolutionary in his approach. And so this is bringing me back again to countering the advice, the guidance of other people who may be stalling your progress. You may be seen as a rebel, doing things differently, being innovative. That can be your gift, your magic that you're bringing out into the world. Doing things differently, showing people that that is possible, helping them to expand their minds and see that the world is not what they thought it was and that they actually have limited thinking. You've showed them that you were able to break through that, and having them acknowledge that too, like, oh wow, I see that you were successful. Great. That's also, of course, going to feel really good to you. We shouldn't need to get that validation from other people, but once we actually receive it, that does, of course, help build our confidence to keep moving forward. So there's a lot of fire, a lot of forward moving energy for the month of April. And with that, let us pull a goddess card and we'll see how this matches up with all that we've just talked about. So there's less cards in this deck, but it seems we always get repeats with this too. Pachamama has come up so many times for us. Okay, so we're just going to ask that one goddess, we only need one goddess come up to share. Ooh, here we go. Okay, to share, I didn't even finish what I wanted, but to share for us what we can focus on to help guide us for the month of April, to help seal all these messages in. And here we have Ishel and creativity. Take a good look at her. So this is a very air element card. And I'll read the poem that goes with Ishel. I have not pulled her before, so I love Pachamama, but this is refreshing to have a different message come through this time as well. Okay. Ishel. Creativity. I weave strings of energy into the web of creation, where nothing was before, out of the void, into the world. I spin them into existence, out from my mind, out from my body, out of my awareness of what needs to be. Now there is something new, and all life is nourished. This is a very revolutionary message. So bringing something new into being supported by this message, feels really good. So she's reminding you that it's time to express creativity. It's time to stoke the fire. So I'm reading directly from the Goddess Oracle now. And I love stoking the fire we were just talking about with the Prince of Wands. Time to let your creativity or creative energy flow. Create, be daring, but also be responsible and conscious. Whether your creations are works of art or works of the flesh, like with children, relationships. Creativity nurtures, creativity reweaves the tears in our vitality. Creativity heals. Let me know how this feels to you, friends. And it's always nice to hear if you do listen again at the end of the month, like how things have come to pass. If anything has come up in your life that you feel was inspired by this message. It's always nice validation. Of course, things can go in different directions, but these are general messages that I feel most of us are influenced by. So let me know again how this feels for you. I'll try to also do an update like in the middle of the month or toward the end of the month in the comments on YouTube here, just sharing how things are going in my life with this message too. Hopefully that'll be interesting to you as well. Take care, friends. Well wishes to you. Happy spring.